Hello and welcome to our Friday afternoon live broadcast. Today, Michael and I are going to be sharing with you some of our own personal experiences with having a gluten intolerance. And then we're going to share with you a little bit about what a gluten intolerance might look and feel like for you. And we're going to define the differences in some of the gluten problems and issues people are having today. So welcome if you are joining us, whether it's on the live broadcast or on the rebroadcast. We appreciate you joining in on our community discussion. Please make sure that if you're joining us on YouTube that you take a second to hit that subscribe button. And if you hit that little bell icon on your YouTube channel, then you will be able to be notified when we do start to broadcast live. And if you're joining us on Facebook, please take a second to hit that like button. We always ask too that you leave us a comment in the comment section when you jump in so that we know that you're here, and that will help us open up the two-way conversation after we finish our discussion and can actually engage in some communication with you. If you are a celiac or you suffer from gluten intolerances, or maybe you have some allergic reaction to some food items, please leave that in the comment section below. We'd love to know your experience and be able to share it openly with our community to see if we can possibly help someone else identify maybe some issues or intolerances that they are having. So I want to get started first with clearly defining celiac disease, gluten intolerance, and what an allergy is and how our body responds to that. And I also want to preface this discussion with Michael and I are not doctors. We are just here sharing our own personal experience and maybe help you think about some things that you have going on in your life and see if those things that we've experienced might be similar to what you're going through. And then we also wanted to let you guys know that we are speaking specifically today about gluten intolerance, and we are fully aware of the fact that celiac disease is a very serious disease. It's a disease that a lot of people are suffering from. It can be very life-threatening. We are not talking about that today. We are specifically talking about our experience with gluten intolerance. Okay. So what is a food intolerance? So by definition, a food intolerance is something, or with gluten especially, so gluten intolerance or sensitivity does involve your digestive system. So it is something that is compromising your digestive system in the way of gluten coming into your body and your body not being able to tolerate it, therefore causing signs and signals to let you know that it's not working for you. A food allergy is when your immune system overreacts to a particular food, causing symptoms that are potentially serious or even life-threatening. So that would be like milk allergies. I know when we were having our kids, we had a lot of friends of ours whose kids had milk allergies, and some of those babies even went into anaphylactic shock and had to be rushed away by an ambulance. I mean, food allergies are serious. Peanut allergies, where you have to carry around an EpiPen, those things are completely different. Those situations are completely different than intolerances. So when you have an allergy, your immune system reacts. When you have celiac disease, it is an inherited autoimmune disorder that can cause damage to the small intestine. So if you know of someone in your family who has a celiac disease, I would highly recommend getting tested. I know I have been tested, and Gabby has been tested because the two of us seem to have the most obvious, or had the most obvious, gluten responses with our body. And so we went ahead and got the test done. We are not celiac. We are definitely intolerant. So we want to make sure that you understand those things. There's a difference between an intolerance to a food, an allergy to a food, and then celiac disease is something completely different. It's an inherited autoimmune disorder. So Michael, why don't you share with our friends what you've been going through with your gluten awareness lately and intolerance, and then I'll bounce back in with some of the signs and signals that are known that we can share with our community.
Okay, well, I'll start off saying that a few years ago, there were some signs that I was gluten intolerant, with a little bit of gout going on, and I discovered that from when I was running. I would have these sore feet all the time. And so I was definitely suffering from some sort of inflammation. Well, fast forward to a couple weeks ago.
Well, he went really gluten-free.
Yeah.
Because he made the connection between having gluten, waking up with sore feet, not being able to run, sometimes not being able to walk very comfortably, to cutting out gluten, giving it the test, gout cleared up. I think I'm going to test the system. Let me put some gluten back in.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, well, I think just lately, I think this year I've been loosening up the reins. I feel like I'm in the best shape I've been in many, probably 10 years.
And health.
Health-wise, everything's great. All my doctor's appointments are great. I think I loosened the reins a little bit with gluten, with especially beer, bread. I love having my toast on the days I'm not intermittent fasting. I love having my toast. So I was starting to feel like some digestive issues going on, and it really feels like it's in your heart. And when you feel it here, you know, I'm 2 months away from 55, man, I go straight to the doctor to get checked out. And she drew blood. She put me on EKG. EKG's fine. She put me on an overnight take-home EKG. That turned out fine.
And this is the second time you've done this.
Yeah, and within about, first time was like what, about 7 years ago. So everything came back fine on the results. So now you're left with what I thought it probably was, but just to be on the safe side, I got completely checked out. So after getting checked out and getting cleared, and I'm like, okay, now I know, I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure that there's some gluten issues going on. So I cut out all glutens, cut it out completely. And the feeling I was having, like at night, I would feel like my heart was pounding out of my chest. But see, I have my heart monitor on, so I can check. I wasn't really having like any issues with
increased
heart rate or anything like that. So, but it still feels uncomfortable, you know, when you go to sleep and you can feel your heart, feels like your heart wants to beat out of its chest. You can even feel sometimes the pulsating in your veins, you know, and so taking the gluten out completely, that subsided and went away, and haven't had any gluten. And I tested it a few nights ago and haven't had any issues. So I think it's a culmination of just piling on with, you know, being comfortable with having, you know, we tried recently with the kids some cauliflower pizza. You know.
But it wasn't gluten-free. Why would you ruin a cauliflower pizza? Anyways.
Yeah, so I guess I'm going to have to stick to the gluten-free pizzas like I was doing before.
So the moral of Michael's lesson is, and I'll share a little bit about my transition with gluten as well, was that he had original signs and signals of a gluten intolerance. He got rid of gluten, got rid of the signs and signals, reintroduced gluten, and he got new signs and signals of a gluten intolerance. So gluten intolerances can change depending on what's going on in your body chemistry. We talk about that all the time in this community, about your body chemistry is constantly changing. So changing something in your lifestyle will yield different results based on what's going on in your chemistry, because everything creates a chemical reaction in your body. So for me, my gluten intolerance started with me filling up like a water balloon every time I put my feet on the ground. When I woke up in the morning, I would gain like 7 pounds of water weight. I could completely go on a, you know, when I used to detox all the time with stuff, and within a couple days, I could get rid of the water. Like I could feel it like being pulled out of my body. And so I knew that was a gluten intolerance for me. Cut gluten out, got accidentally exposed by gluten, and we're going to share with you where that can happen very easily. And I got eczema on my face, around my eyes, and it was from shampoo, conditioner, and lotion at a resort in Mexico where we were staying at. So even though I was really careful about my gluten exposure through food, I was getting gluten exposure through things I was putting on my body, because remember, what we put on and near our body is also considered feasting. So I got a new gluten response that way. Cut everything out, completely changed. All my makeup's gluten-free, all my skincare products are gluten-free, all my hair care products are all gluten-free. And then I tested it out again, because we don't ever trust, you know, things. We have to test it out again. And I knew every time I was exposed to gluten by little blisters that would pop up on my foot. They were the same little kind of blisters that my mom also gets in the palm of her hand when she is exposed to certain types of foods as well. So I knew it was that food intolerance. coming out in a new sign and signal. So now every time I test the system or something slips and gets into my body or on my body or around my body, I have these new responses or signals, because now that I'm fasting and I'm well and everything's really balanced out, my body responds in a different way with a new sign or signal because the chemical reaction is different. So make sure you're staying very aware if you have these gluten intolerances, that if you're exposed to something that has gluten in it, that the signal or sign that your body's sending you might be different from the last exposure because your body's chemistry has changed. And that's what we've really noticed with ourselves as well. So what are some typical things, Michael, that can expose people to gluten?
Well, some of the foods to look out for, rye, barley, malts, malt extracts, malt vinegar, that kind of stuff, brewer's yeast, and that's kind of a big one. And we've talked about that in this community before, that a lot of these companies now are using a high rise yeast. And to be completely honest with you, I'm an IPA beer kind of guy, and I started drinking some of these fancy new IPAs in the can. And I don't know what they're lining that can with or what's going on with that can, but you know, I could feel something going on.
So something in the aluminum lining to protect us from the aluminum is causing him to have some sort of sick reaction.
Yeah,
so no
done
cans.
with that. Anyway, so be careful the high rise yeast they're using now for brewing. Wheat starch, of course, beer, because beer has all that stuff that we mentioned, the barley, the rye, all that stuff. Breads, which is pretty obvious. And then desserts like cake, cookies, pie, that kind of stuff. Cereal. We recently found a cereal. What's it called?
I forget.
Something Love.
We'll post it when we get it
from
in for
Costco that we found that's gluten free, because the kids love the Fruity Pebbles kind of stuff, and this stuff's gluten free
and healthy.
Crackers, seasoned potato chips. That one can sneak in on you because you wouldn't suspect that to make you feel sick. French fries.
Processed French fries.
But if they're real potato French fries and they're cooked
AKA
in the right
in and out
oil,
French fries. Those are real potatoes.
They're cooked in the right oil, then you're probably good to go.
Right.
We're not giving up fries.
No. So like I always say here in this community, and we teach this in our course, is when you are out in a restaurant and you're the patron of the restaurant, always exercise your right to ask questions. If you're going to have French fries, remember French fries are not a bad food. There's no such thing as a bad food. There's only food that's bad for the individual person. So processed French fries are bad for us because they make us sick. I ask the question, are your French fries made on the premises? Meaning, do you have a potato that is sliced and then put in a non-soy based oil? If they can answer that question for me, you better believe I'm going to eat myself some French fries. If they don't know where their French fries are sourced from, they don't cut potatoes on the premises, and they can't tell me what kind of oil that they are fried in, I skip them because it's not worth being exposed to not only soy but gluten as well. So anything that's processed, remember gluten is often a binding agent, and it's used heavily in processed food and breads and cakes and all that kind of stuff to preserve them. So if you're consuming something that has a long shelf life, then it probably has gluten and or soy in it to preserve that shelf life and to bind agents together. So if something,
is it the soy lecithin that binds it together, or is it
and gluten as well?
Gluten too,
as well.
Okay.
Because what happened is a lot of products have become gluten free, but now have soy in them. So the soy lecithin has been taking the place of gluten, aka turkey bacon, aka gluten free, dairy free waffles. So there's no gluten and dairy to bind them. It's soy lecithin that's binding them. So be wary of gluten-free products as well. Make sure you're still looking at that ingredients label, because when I went gluten-free, I got soy sick. because a lot of the gluten-free healthy products that I was consuming had soy lecithin put in them. So you have to look for both of those things for sure. So what are some of the really common signs and signals that your body will be sending you if you are gluten intolerant and you are consuming gluten either purposely or unknowingly? Bloating. So I talked about when I was gluten intolerant, I didn't know it yet. I would wake up in the morning and I would retain water. And I also had a protruding stomach that looked like I was 6 months pregnant. Fit everywhere else, but a stomach that looked like I was 6 months pregnant. I have photos that I think I shared them with an email list a couple weeks ago, but it was really, really uncomfortable, and it would come and go. So it was really hard to identify.
I'm witness to this.
Yeah, he's witness to this. I'm like, why is my stomach looking this way? I would have to have two sides of clothes, my bloated clothes and my non-bloated clothes, and they were literally two different, like two sizes difference between the two. That's how extended my stomach would be. The second very common sign and signal your body will send you if you're gluten intolerant is diarrhea, constipation, or smelly feces. Hello? That's everyone. So if you feel like
Really
your body
feces.
is producing toxins that you're not comfortable with, is the way I really like to describe that, then you probably have something going on in your digestive tract that's not healthy, and you wanted to look into that. Remember, diarrhea, constipation, and smelly feces are not what we consider to be normal for our bodies. So if that's happening to you, I would look into what's going in your body, because what's going in has to come out. Number 3, abdominal pain, usually cramping type of things, or like a bloated type of feeling. Headaches. People who are intolerant to gluten often are more prone to migraine headaches. So if you have migraine headaches and they're chronic and you can't figure out what's causing those migraine headaches and you're still consuming gluten or are being exposed to gluten, I would look at that very closely. Feeling tired or fatigued. Hello, who's not feeling tired or fatigued? Again, look at your gluten. Skin problems, blistering, psoriasis, loss of hair, or itchy skin. Again, my second exposure to gluten was my eyes breaking out in an eczema and psoriasis type of situation, and they were super itchy and super swollen. And we went back and figured out that that was gluten from skincare products and makeup. Number 7 is depression. So if you're chronically depressed or just feel like you are feeling blue all the time, again, it might be something that's connected to a gluten exposure. Unexplained weight loss might be worth a gluten no, I'm just kidding. You don't want to do that. So if you're losing weight and you're not trying to lose weight and it feels unhealthy to you, it usually is something that's going on in your body chemistry, and you want to make sure that you identify that so you can stop that. Iron deficiency is my man sitting right here. He has been suffering with an iron deficiency, and with all the gluten signs and signals that he's been getting, we've connected that to be a problem for him as well. Anxiety, my man sitting right here also suffers from anxiety, and that has been a lot of his heart palpitations. Autoimmune disorders, we know that celiac disease is an autoimmune disorder, so why wouldn't gluten intolerances also cause us to have other autoimmune disorders? So if you're suffering from autoimmune disorders, thyroid, fibromyalgia, arthritis, any of those things, I would highly recommend looking at where you could possibly be getting some or gluten exposure. Joint or muscle pain, we've both experienced relief from joint and muscle pain. I talked before about how when I am running, I would constantly have to go to the chiropractor because my low back pain, and since I haven't been consuming gluten, I no longer have to go to the chiropractor for back pain. So if you're aching or paining somewhere, usually it's some sort of reaction or sign or signal that your body's trying to send you that what you're doing or consuming is not good for you. Leg or arm numbness, and then the last one, which I know a lot of us women are suffering from here in this community, is brain fog. So we want to make sure that if you have any of those things, it would be worth it to cut gluten out. The great thing about our the good side of our food industry these days is there's a lot of options now that are gluten-free, and trust me, if a product is gluten-free, you won't doubt it because it says gluten-free on it. The one thing I do caution all of you on is look at the other ingredients as well. So it's great that they took gluten out, but what did they put in its place? And you want to make sure that it's not extra dairy products or any kind of extra soy products that are going to be used in as a binding agent for those foods.
And like Diane was saying before, some of the things you probably wouldn't suspect that you can get glutenized from is your medication. You have to look out for.
So if you know that you are intolerant to gluten and you get a prescription, ask your doctor for a gluten-free prescription or version of whatever it is you're getting a prescription for.
Vitamins and supplements. We look all the time when we get any kind of supplements to make sure there's no soy or gluten in it.
Yeah, and what you want to look for with supplements is no corn, no soy, no gluten, no wheat, no eggs, no dairy. All of those things are cheap fillers, and if something's being filled, that's with a cheap binding agent, then that's less potency that vitamin or mineral probably has for you because it's just taking up space.
And a big surprise, this is what we learned from a friend of ours we were with in Mexico, lipstick and lip balm. You wouldn't think about that. But a friend of ours, she was having some serious...
Well, she's celiac,
yes,
so she has to be very
but
careful.
she had no idea that she was being affected by her lipstick, you know, and she had to change all of her makeup.
And that's where I got exposed to their the resorts spa hair care products and skincare products that I was using because they're free, right? That's, you don't want to have to carry all that stuff through your bags anymore. And I really did end up coming back really sick from something as innocent as that. So now I just take my own stuff, so I'm in control of that.
And then the one you might have to take at your own risk is the communion wafer.
Yeah.
That's on the list.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I think a lot of churches now or religious establishments are giving the option of going gluten-free with communion waivers and stuff like that. So always opt for that. Or, I mean, I don't know if you can bring your own. I don't know if that's the same thing, but I don't know.
I don't think it's the same thing.
I don't think it's the same thing either. But you don't want to be exposed, but you also don't want to miss out if that's what is important to you as far as your spiritual practices and religious practices. So I would say check with the church or religious spiritual establishment that you go to and see if they have a gluten-free option.
And two things on the list are probably big surprises are Play-Doh and toothpaste and mouthwash.
So imagine all those little kids that are putting non-toxic Play-Doh in their mouth. Or if you have it in your hands and you're playing with it, remember your body is going to absorb all that stuff. So something as innocent as a play date with some Play-Doh could really have you or your child come back really not feeling well, and you would probably never ever connect it to something like Play-Doh. So read your ingredients labels for sure. If your body is not feeling 100%, there's something that you're doing or exposing it to that is not going well for your body, and it's going to tell you. So please be very conscious of all of these things. Be aware, be in the moment. Don't discount them as something silly. Something as simple as a headache has a root cause. And we have to really start thinking about what the root cause of these aches and pains and chronic things that we have going on, so that we no longer are relying on prescription type things or even over-the-counter type remedies that really do just numb us from the pain and don't eliminate the problem. We want to get to the root problem so we can eliminate it and then no longer have to depend on some of these outside resources to just make us feel better so we can get through our day. We want to be able to get through our day feeling amazing without having to depend on anything.
And the remedy always goes back to the same thing that we talk about in this community: nutrient-dense food. But that's what your doctor's going to tell you that you need to do.
One ingredient.
Yeah. If you have some intolerance towards gluten, or if you're celiac, they're going to tell you to eat nutrient-dense food. And they're also going to tell you to take more iron.
Right.
Make sure you have your vitamin D, calcium, and zinc. And the two things that, I mean, I've never been certified. I'm not celiac. I've never even been diagnosed as gluten intolerant. But I do know that I do need an iron supplement and a vitamin D. Everything else I check out okay.
And you have anxiety issues and aches and pains and those kind of things as well. And when you don't have those things, you don't have the other problems.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, don't discount things. It's too scary these days, and what you could end up having in the long run if you just keep discounting these things as not related. So let me welcome everyone from YouTube really quick. And yes, my shirt says, "Wake me when winter is over," because I'm over winter. I think we are here in Texas. It's super cold and rainy and dark today, but our friends in our old neighborhood in California are getting snowed on, or they were yesterday. Go figure. California, snowstorms, Texas, not getting any. It's crazy. Rochelle from Seattle in her February course. Congratulations, Rochelle. You are a new graduate. I'm super excited for you. Teresa, February course. I love how I'm feeling while IF. Awesome. You are a new graduate. Congratulations. Terry, another February course class member. My gluten intolerance presented itself with loss of taste and smell. Interesting. Ringing in the ears and heartburn. 3 weeks out with IF and keto, and symptoms are gone. Amazing. That's great that you've connected those things together. And congratulations for jumping in our course with us and graduating. That's a big deal. So I'm proud of you, and I'm happy you're feeling better. Jennifer lost 3 pounds in 2 weeks with 17 to 22 hour daily fast and clean eating until I'm satisfied. Good for you, girlfriend. Susan, December 2018 class. My gluten intolerance reveals itself in bloating, brain fog, and water weight. Yeah, girlfriend, I'm right there with you. I have those same things. And then Terry, why are potatoes taboo on a keto diet? I think if you're strict ketogenic diet, you're following the strict ketogenic diet by the book. Potatoes are a high glycemic type of food. We love potatoes. We eat them almost every night, or 2 or 3, 4 times a week. I'll eat them as often as I can. And we don't really concern ourselves with that because we fast and we eat a very carb conscious type of lifestyle. So that's where we get the keto-like from. So we don't think potatoes are taboo at all. We love them. We eat them as often as we can, for sure. And load them up with some fat. Christina, hello. Good to have you with us. Renee from Fargo, North Dakota, originally in your June and July 2018 class and continued classes since. Girlfriend, love having you around with us.
Awesome.
Michelle from Bloomington, she was in our October 2018 course. Christy's here. Yvonne, girlfriend, haven't seen you in forever. It's good to have you. She was our June 2017 course grad. Veronica from San Antonio, girlfriend, you're just down the road, like 6 hours.
Yep.
6 hours down
4
the road.
or 5 hours.
Yeah. Carrie from Pennsylvania, she is a graduate of our February 2019 course. Congratulations. Tina is here, started in August 2017. Interesting about the iron deficiency, I have palpitations. Yeah, might want to look at that for sure. Here's the cool thing, and what I really suggest if you're not sure if you're being affected by something, give it a 7-day clean test. Like, cut it out in all areas for 7 days. Look at your makeup, like all that stuff. Make sure, like I said, if it's gluten-free, it will say gluten-free. Marketers advertise that. They can charge more money for those kind of things because it's a specialty product. So look at everything. Try it for 7 days. If those signs and signals go away, then you've probably identified the problem for sure. Also, because of all the fillers in some GF products, early research is that insulin is getting spiked by the refined alternative grains. Yep, for sure. For sure. I get dull headaches in the back of my head, in extreme cases, migraines. Tina, I would say you should definitely consider cutting out some gluten, well, it's not even like you can cut out some gluten. You really have to cut out all gluten. And then if you're not celiac, which we defined as an autoimmune disorder that can be life-threatening, and you're just intolerant to it, then you can make a decision where if you let it in every now and then in small exposures, you probably won't have a severe reaction. It's that buildup and backup, I think, in your system that really does start to cause some of these more severe.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah. Mary Lou from New Jersey, grad of 2018 and 2017 courses. Welcome, girlfriend. And then Tina, what do you know about the relationship between barometric pressure and headaches? I don't really know anything about that, but if the pressure changes, I could see why you would have a headache. I think a lot of it's probably related to like maybe sinus pressure you have in your head, or if you have any kind of allergies you're walking around with, or maybe even some increased mucus. I know I had a really big problem with some pain I was having down my neck here and on the side of my face. And I had a CAT scan done and an MRI done, and they did everything. I was like, send me back. I know there's something going on in my brain. And what they found is I had like an inflamed sinus on the right side of my face. So it was just probably some Texas allergy stuff or something. And it comes and goes. And lately I've noticed it's been gone for probably like 6 months or so. So whatever I've made in the changes in my lifestyle have been working because that inflammation has gone away. So I would say that's probably what it would be for sure. Karen, February grad. Congratulations, Karen. Hope you're celebrating. Pam from Kansas City, first time watching, been IF for a week. Good for you, girlfriend. And then Renee, I also have heart palps on occasion. Yeah, it seems to be pretty common. I think a lot of it has to do too with Michael and I talk about this a lot in our house. Is he's super chill. And I will always tell you what's on my mind. I'm kind of quick to snap and have no problem speaking.
I didn't mean to shake on that, but I did.
Saying what I speak. I don't mean to be mean about it. I just say what I speak. And so he is more reserved and super calm. And so, we're the yin and yang of each other. And so he's going through a lot of big life changes right now. And he doesn't think that that's affecting him because he's chill. Where I would be like a wreck running around trying to like get everything organized and, A-type personality coming out of me. And he just sort of settles into it. And so he internalizes a lot more than I do. So he internally agonizes over it, and I externally agonize over it. And so you figure out your personality type too. And if you're the type of person that's super chill and you manage things on the inside, that could also be the cause of some internal stress that could cause more.
And there's some other things to consider. And what I considered was, if you're doing pre-workouts, I had a streak there. I worked out like 30 days in a row, and you're having coffee every day. Occasionally we'll do the Americano with an ad shot. You do these things like on a regular basis, and you think, I'm good. I can do coffee. I can handle caffeine. But I think like we've been talking about over time, that buildup of the caffeine, it'll wake you up in the middle of the night. You're like, why am I wide awake at 2 o'clock in the morning? Why am I having heart palpitations? So sometimes we're in a little bit of a denial, like with the Starbucks runs that we're doing, and having a couple, like we've talked about having a cup of coffee. What is a cup of coffee? And it's not what we're having when you're loading up a cup that's this big full of coffee.
Well, yeah, you have a to-go cup of coffee like this. It's not a cup of coffee. It's 12 to 16 ounces of caffeine. So, we always have to consider those type of things as well. And what we've realized, we went a whole week with decaf coffee and we loved it. Like, we felt amazing because we already have our own internal energy source that we're producing through fasting long and feasting well. So if you're already internally energized, you're experiencing like what we say here, the energized sense of calm, and you don't need coffee, you like coffee, then you're putting coffee in your body in an oversized amount, especially in these cold months because you want something warm. Now you've just over-energized your body, and if you can't metabolize it away, then you're laying awake in bed at night. So it's not that you have insomnia, it's that you haven't realized or made the connection that you're double energizing yourself. One's naturally produced and the other is chemically produced through caffeine, and you can't calm your body down. So we've loved having some decaf coffee this last week. We loved having the warm coffee to sip around during a cold day, but we're not feeling the effects of being over caffeinated. And so look into that as well.
Yeah, and if you want to feel better, I would highly recommend ditching the caffeine for like a week or two, just no caffeine at all. Like you'll find yourself a little bit drowsy doing that. And if you're not using your pre-workout or whatever, just stop it all.
Yeah.
And then also, if you're cutting out the gluten completely, you're getting the right amount of sleep because your cortisol levels are spiking if you're not getting rest. You have to get rest, you have to get sleep. And if your sleep's getting interrupted because the caffeine's waking you up in the middle of the night, then you're not getting the rest you're supposed to get. Or if you're worrying about something in the middle of the night, then you're not getting rest.
Yeah, and
your
I know
rest is getting interrupted.
We drink a lot less coffee in the summer and spring than we do in the winter. So be aware of seasonal changes that you make in your lifestyle as well. So we got a couple comments here on YouTube. I'll read really quickly. Michelle, I have been doing keto since January 2018, lost 16 pounds. Seems to be I have gained 4 pounds back and I have not cheated. I don't know what's going on. Help. Thanks. Michelle, I say stay off the scale and email me if you want, dyannparhamfitness@gmail.com. But what I'm going to do is suggest you join my course because I teach you about all those things. But, who knows, your body's constantly changing, so I wouldn't fret about it. The more stress you put on that little 4-pound weight gain, you'll get on the scale tomorrow, it's probably gone. The more cortisol that's increased, the more you have stress hormones, the more it just ends up being this horrible thing. RN Kim, a medium potato has 37 grams, is high glycemic. It's a lot of carbs. Unhealthy keto healthy keto usually allows 10 to 20 grams. It's better to use your carb allotment with lots of filling, fibrous, non-starchy veggies. Okay, so RN Kim. Let me just say this: we don't count macros, and we don't really concern ourselves with carbs, because in this community here, we practice the double-edged sword of intermittent fasting and a keto-like lifestyle, which does allow us the opportunity to consume more carbohydrates. We also encourage exercising, which also has an opportunity to burn off extra carbohydrates that you're consuming in your day. So a medium-sized potato for me and Michael, or anyone in our family, or a lot of the women in this community that are practicing this lifestyle, does not have a negative effect on us because we are intermittent fasting. I know there are a lot of people who practice a keto-like lifestyle and are managing their carbohydrates and are keeping them very low, and I always respect that, but that's not what we're doing, and we're completely fine with consuming things like potatoes. I would rather consume a potato, which is a one ingredient food coming from the earth that doesn't have any negative effect on our bodies, than a lot of these other keto-like fat bombs and all these other processed things that are going on in this I don't know, nutritional arena. So everyone should do what's good for them, but I don't curse to potatoes at all. I highly encourage consuming them, just consuming them in a way that fits your lifestyle.
Yeah, and you have to consider what kind of lifestyle that you're trying to lead. I mean, like for us, we never claim to be keto. I am not keto. I probably never will be keto. And I trust me, I think it probably works pretty well. I mean, I see some people that are pretty successful on it, but there's a lot of people that claim that they're keto and they're not keto. You can't wake up one day and eat cereal and then, oh, I'm keto. I eat keto like foods. Like, no, you're either keto or you're not.
Yeah, and
you
we
can't
don't
go off and on. But
Yeah.
with intermittent fasting, we get to intermittent fast. We're very conscious of our carbohydrates, and we live our life that way, that we're intermittent fasting. We work out. We're conscious of the carbs that we're bringing in, and we have a high fat, moderate protein diet, and that works for us, and it's worked for
thousands.
She's
of
had
women.
like 5,000 people go through her course, so it's working for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of success stories like within 1 week, so something's working right here.
Yeah. So that's why I say, the beautiful thing is create a lifestyle that works for you. And if potatoes don't work for someone, then yeah, don't consume them. But we're getting the same kind of results that a lot of these really these really specific ketogenic diet followers are getting, and we don't have to go to those extremes. Now, for someone who's following a ketogenic diet, fasting for 20 hours a day is extreme. I get that. So we're using the fasting window as an opportunity to have a more flexible feasting window. So that's
And living a keto life is
great.
That's a great life to live. I think if you want to live that life, we just don't.
Yeah. And Nareda, thanks for verifying my caffeine link. I switched to real coffee from instant, and I'm feeling the lack of drive from the anxiety it's creating. Oh no, caffeine detox. Yeah, I hear you, girlfriend. And then Carrie Biddle, just completed the IF course, loved it. Strong fasting, 20 hours each day with this week. Feasting well. Thank you for the education to living, and I don't know what she was saying.
I think you got cut off.
But you're welcome, and congratulations, Carrie, for completing your course. I'm super proud of all of our February intermittent fasting for today's Asian Women course members. Today is their graduation day, and I'm so impressed with all of the women who have made it to the end of their course. It makes a huge difference when you actually complete something that you start. We talk a lot about that in our mind mapping and our goal setting course. You want to make sure that you're creating these mind maps for yourself, that what you start, you finish, and this will be just something that your brain is going to remember for the next thing in your life, that you have a great anticipation on day one with, and you end with the same amount of anticipation on the end day, and that will continue to carry forward for you. So I'm super excited for you. I was only addressing Terry's question, which was why aren't potatoes considered okay on keto? I understand you guys do something differently than strict keto. Yeah, Kim, we totally understand that. We just wanted to make sure we made it clear as well.
She's like, don't bite my head off.
No, we're not biting anybody's head off at all. And so I appreciate you leaving a comment and clarifying that for sure. So yeah, no, I'm always like, do your thing. There's a lot of things that people are doing that I look at and I'm like, oh man, I wish I could do that, or that seems amazing. But the reality is I wouldn't stick with it. So what we've created here in this community is really the flexibility for you to do you, and to have the time and support inside of our course to figure out what doing you is, and how you can maintain that for a really long
And
time.
this lifestyle works great for me because I've never been a calorie counter, doing all that, measuring. No.
Macro counter.
Yeah, the macro counting. I mean, I've tried that stuff before, and I last about a good week,
Yeah.
and I'm done. So it just has never worked. But this lifestyle has been perfect for me because I'm at the best weight I've probably ever been in my life. I mean, as an adult, I mean, I haven't been at this weight since probably in my 20s.
Yep.
I just feel like I'm in better shape. I'm in better health. But I just have to be careful. Like we're talking about with this gluten stuff. Like I just never thought. I mean, she's always told me you probably get affected by gluten. I'm like, whatever. Like probably most men do, right? Like I could have my pizza. I could have my beer. What are you talking about? I'm not. There's a lot of people that think it's just a fad. It's a hoax with the gluten thing. And I can tell you it's not. Because I think food has changed, first of all, and it's not the same food that it used to be.
We aren't changing. Food's changing.
Yeah.
And there's a curse and a benefit to living in a house with a certified holistic nutritionist and a certified exercise nutrition coach.
Almost holistic nutrition certified.
Yeah. So, you just get lectures with too much information.
And I appreciate it because I'm in a good spot. So
Yeah, we're getting better. We're aging successfully. And when you're on that journey to aging successfully, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be bumps in the road. You just have to pay attention to those bumps and not go over the same bump too many times. And so that's really what we want to help everyone with as we share these things that we're going through. Like, it's not perfect. And the thing you want to go back to is don't beat yourself up. Don't create that negative self-talk. Reconsider some things. And then we literally live our life like a continuous experimental project, right? Science project. Like, let's try this. Let's try that. Let's try this. And we really do have a lot of fun with that. I guess it's probably a hobby that we have. And don't be afraid to do that. Like, cut something out for a week. I went on a 2-week no animal protein run, and man, I felt amazing. Does that mean I'm going to be a vegan? Nope, probably not. But I did feel great. And now, when someone makes some animal protein in our house, I just make a decision. Do I feel like having that today or do I not? Doesn't mean I have to label myself or put myself in a box. We don't walk around going, we're gluten-free.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be 100% gluten-free ever. But I know now I can't pile on.
Right.
I definitely can't eating beaten bread, having beer, and trying to do think that I'm okay to do whatever. No, it just can't happen anymore.
No.
It's got to be very limited.
Yeah, so you have to control and limit your exposures, I think, is the big thing when you don't have an allergy or you don't have celiac disease. You just want to limit and control your exposures, and then know that if you have an exposure and your body's sending you the signs and signals that you've been exposed, how do you get yourself out of that situation quickly? And what we really do is just fast it away, drink lots of our mineralized and spring water, and just give our body an opportunity to kind of metabolize and flush that through, and we get back right on track as soon as possible.
Yep.
So with all of my February course grads tuning in today, one more time, I just want to say congratulations. I am so proud of you. Make sure you finish our end of course survey for us if you wouldn't mind. And if you're interested in jumping into our graduates masterclass series, I would love to have you in there as well. And for those of you who've been hanging out and watching us, please know that our March 2nd course is open for registration. We will be starting promptly on March the 2nd. If you have any questions...
It will fill up.
Yes.
So don't wait.
Yeah, it always fills up. If you have any questions about the course or how to register, always feel free to leave me a message or email me. We have a new addition to our course for March, which I'm super excited to share with all of our March students. So now's a perfect time to jump in. We got lots of new stuff in the community going on. Thanks again for jumping on with us. We appreciate you spending your Friday afternoon with us here. All the comments that have come in after we have gone live, I will go back and I will answer them and address them for sure. So definitely feel free to keep leaving those comments. Anything else we want to talk about?
No, that's it.
I think that's it. Have a super weekend. If you're in a place that's cold and snowy, I'm sorry, we're in the same place. You gotta get through it.
It's not cold and snowy
It's
here.
cold,
I think it's
though.
like It's 48 degrees. It's
48.
not cold.
It's freezing, and I'm ready for winter to be over. So hopefully you're staying warm, and we'll see you guys Monday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time right here in these two locations. Always feel free to share this content with someone that you think might be helped with some of the things that we're sharing here in this community. And always, if you feel like reaching out, the comment section in these two sections of content are a great place to do that. And if you have questions about the course, never hesitate to reach out to me. I will answer any questions I can for you. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week.
Have a great weekend, you guys.